In this podcast episode, Bilyeu sits down with former CIA operations officer Mike Baker to discuss the multifaceted threats facing America today. The conversation delves into various topics, from the rise of China as a superpower to the complexities of the Israel-Palestine conflict and the implications of domestic policies on national security. Baker opens the discussion by highlighting China's extraordinary rise over the past few decades. He notes that China has lifted hundreds of millions of people out of poverty, mastered global manufacturing, and positioned itself as a formidable superpower. This rapid ascent raises critical questions for the West, particularly the United States, about how to coexist with China without compromising its own values and identity. Baker emphasizes that the challenge is not merely about competition, but understanding the subtle forms of power that China wields, particularly through data and influence. Baker points out that the West has become increasingly aware of China's tactics, especially in light of recent events such as the pandemic and issues surrounding intellectual property theft. He mentions that the Trump administration played a significant role in bringing attention to these issues, which has led to a more focused discourse on China's actions. The conversation underscores the importance of recognizing the complexities of China's rise and the need for a strategic approach to address the challenges it presents. One of the most pressing concerns discussed is the influence that China exerts through platforms like TikTok. Baker argues that the Chinese regime has mastered the art of shaping public opinion through social media, which poses a legitimate threat to American society. He explains that many people are not curious enough to question the sources of the information they consume, making them susceptible to manipulation. This lack of critical thinking can lead to a siloed perspective, where individuals only engage with information that aligns with their existing beliefs. Baker warns that the ease with which public opinion can be swayed is a significant vulnerability for the United States. He highlights that foreign adversaries, including China and Russia, have recognized this weakness and are actively exploiting it. The conversation serves as a reminder of the importance of media literacy and the need for individuals to critically evaluate the information they encounter in an increasingly complex digital landscape. The discussion shifts to the topic of economic espionage, which Baker identifies as a top-tier concern. He explains that the theft of intellectual property and economic information is a critical issue that the U.S. must address. Baker emphasizes that this type of espionage is not limited to China. Other nations, including Russia and Iran, also engage in similar activities. The implications of economic espionage extend beyond immediate financial losses. They threaten national security and the long-term viability of American industries. Baker argues that the U.S. must adopt a proactive stance in protecting its intellectual property and economic interests. This includes strengthening cybersecurity measures and fostering a culture of innovation that prioritizes research and development. By doing so, the U.S. can mitigate the risks associated with espionage and maintain its competitive edge in the global market. As the conversation progresses, Baker addresses military concerns, particularly regarding the potential invasion of Taiwan by China. He notes that the situation in the South China Sea is a flashpoint for conflict, and the U.S. must remain vigilant in its response. Baker emphasizes that the Chinese regime views the U.S. as the primary obstacle to its ambitions, and this perception drives its aggressive military posture in the region. Baker highlights the importance of maintaining a strong military presence in the Asia-Pacific region to deter Chinese aggression. He argues that the U.S. must work closely with its allies to ensure a unified response to any potential threats. The conversation underscores the need for a comprehensive strategy that addresses both military readiness and diplomatic efforts to prevent conflict. The discussion takes a turn towards domestic politics, with Baker emphasizing the impact of political decisions on national security. He argues that the U.S. must navigate the delicate balance between addressing immediate threats and maintaining a long-term vision for its foreign policy. Baker points out that the current administration's approach to China and other adversaries is influenced by domestic political considerations, which can complicate decision-making. Baker warns that a lack of bipartisan support for foreign policy initiatives can hinder the U.S.'s ability to respond effectively to global challenges. He advocates for a more unified approach that prioritizes national security over partisan politics. The conversation serves as a reminder of the interconnectedness of domestic and international issues and the need for a cohesive strategy to address them. The conversation shifts to the Israel-Palestine conflict, a topic that has garnered significant attention in recent months. Baker discusses the complexities of the situation, noting that both sides have deep-rooted grievances that make resolution challenging. He emphasizes that the U.S. must approach the conflict with a nuanced understanding of the historical context and the perspectives of both Israelis and Palestinians. Baker argues that the U.S. has a critical role to play in facilitating dialogue and promoting peace in the region. He acknowledges that the situation is fraught with tension and that finding a solution will require patience and diplomacy. The conversation highlights the importance of addressing the underlying issues that fuel the conflict, rather than merely focusing on surface-level solutions. Baker also addresses the role of social media in shaping public discourse around the Israel-Palestine conflict. He notes that social media platforms have become battlegrounds for competing narratives, with both sides using them to rally support and influence public opinion. Baker warns that the rapid spread of misinformation can exacerbate tensions and hinder efforts to achieve peace. The conversation underscores the need for responsible social media use and the importance of promoting accurate information. Baker emphasizes that individuals must critically evaluate the content they consume and share, particularly in the context of sensitive issues like the Israel-Palestine conflict. By fostering a culture of media literacy, society can mitigate the risks associated with misinformation and promote constructive dialogue. As the discussion continues, Baker reflects on the future of U.S.-China relations. He acknowledges that the relationship is complex and multifaceted, with both cooperation and competition at play. Baker emphasizes that the U.S. must adopt a strategic approach that balances engagement with deterrence to navigate the evolving landscape. Baker argues that the U.S. should focus on building alliances with like-minded countries to counter China's influence. He highlights the importance of fostering economic partnerships and promoting shared values to create a united front against authoritarianism. The conversation serves as a reminder of the need for a proactive and collaborative approach to address the challenges posed by China. Baker emphasizes the critical role of intelligence in shaping U.S. foreign policy. He argues that accurate and timely intelligence is essential for making informed decisions and responding effectively to global threats. Baker highlights the importance of investing in intelligence capabilities to ensure that the U.S. remains ahead of its adversaries. The conversation underscores the need for a robust intelligence community that can adapt to the changing landscape of global threats. Baker advocates for increased collaboration between intelligence agencies and the private sector to enhance information sharing and improve situational awareness. By prioritizing intelligence, the U.S. can better navigate the complexities of international relations. Baker discusses the influence of the military-industrial complex on U.S. foreign policy. He argues that the close relationship between defense contractors and government officials can lead to conflicts of interest and impact decision-making. Baker emphasizes the need for transparency and accountability in defense spending to ensure that resources are allocated effectively. The conversation highlights the importance of scrutinizing the military-industrial complex and its role in shaping U.S. foreign policy. Baker advocates for a more balanced approach that prioritizes national security while also considering the long-term implications of military spending. By addressing the influence of the military-industrial complex, the U.S. can create a more sustainable and effective defense strategy.